Dear Captain Harv, when is the impossible turn really impossible? And what if I have a Cap's parachute? Ah, yes, the so-called impossible turn. Is it really impossible? Well, let me answer by telling you a story. As we rocketed down the runway, my trusty co-pilot Milton barked out my V-speeds like a seasoned pro. V1, rotate, V2. At a blistering 57 knots, my trusty air coupe gently floated off the runway and bounded into the wild blue yonder like an unbridled Mustang. Higher, higher we flew. When we crested the tree line in front of us, I knew in my gut nothing could stop us now. Then, complete silence. Okay, that's not entirely true, but Milton was screaming so high, only dogs could hear it. My engine had decided it was done for the day, even though we were just starting to climb into the cerulean blue sky. Let's think about this. We were nose high, close to the ground, and had a fairly low airspeed. So, of course, I followed my instincts and turned back toward the big, beautiful 5,000-foot runway we had just departed. Don't worry, my cracked ribs and broken leg healed eventually. The air coupe, not so much. Thousands of words have been written by hundreds of experts warning pilots about the so-called impossible turn. And yet, there are real-life examples of pilots both failing and succeeding at turning back to the airport after losing power during takeoff. So, how should you prepare for the possibility of power failure on takeoff? Should you practice impossible turns at lower and lower altitudes until you can practically drive the airplane like a car back to the runway? Or should you swear never to turn back, no matter what? Well, as with anything in aviation, it depends. What kind of airplane are you in? What's its glide ratio? Did you lose all power? Is your engine still sputtering forth a little thrust? What's the wind doing? How badly would things go if you landed straight ahead? Oh, and just for fun, exactly how high off the ground are you and how far away from the runway? That's just a few of many factors that factor into factoring your survival factor. Let's say you're in a Cessna 172 at 1,000 feet AGL. You performed a VX climb, so the runway is still relatively close. You may very well be able to make an impossible turn that's extremely possible, even requiring a little forward slip to burn off excess altitude on your way to an uneventful dead stick landing. Okay, but what if you're in the same Skyhawk at max gross with floats attached and there was no headwind when you took off? Unless your name is Captain Harv, and it isn't. It's a difficult equation to solve, so it's best if you can do everything you can to solve it before you take off. Commit to yourself that, based on the weather, your plane, your level of proficiency, and even the angel sitting on your shoulder, that you must reach a certain altitude before even considering turning back, and play through the scenario in your head as if it's actually happening. That way, if your engine decides to go on strike during departure, you will already have rehearsed what to do, especially the part about pitching for best glide speed. Another extremely helpful exercise is to hop on a flight simulator that simulates your aircraft type and practice killing the engine in different conditions and at different altitudes at different airports. Not only will this give you an idea of what the impossible turn is like in your airplane, it'll also give you a chance to practice landing straight ahead, which is very often the safest thing to do. But you may ask, Captain Harv, what if I have a Cirrus equipped with the Cap's parachute system? First of all, sweet! Planes with parachutes? Awesome! Okay, the Cap system is an excellent piece of safety technology that has already saved dozens of lives. Cirrus has specific training for its pilots that addresses when to deploy your parachute. So go take that training. That said, you can pretty much yank the handle if you're higher than 500 feet above the ground. Of course, if you're lower and your only two options are to pull the handle or dig a 300-foot long trench, pull the handle. But go take the Cirrus training. No, seriously, do what your POH and the manufacturer say, which is all covered in the training at Cirrus. Once again, thanks for tuning in, and keep those questions coming. And finally, you're welcome. Do you ever think about other vehicles you wish had parachutes? No? Well, I tell you, I wish I had one of my '71 Honda Monkey back when I tried the Palo Duro Canyon Jump.